Hi friends, this is Hemant here, and so far in the series we have completed two videos, and this is the third video, adding Sass for CSS. Okay, so let me show you the repository where I have kept this. So this is my GitHub repository, and this hworld is the repository where you will have all the code base. So as of now I have created two videos, check-in 1 and check-in 2. Okay, so this would have the code base for it. Third, check-in 3, I have just branched it out from check-in 2. Okay, so now the code base of check-in 3 has whatever we had done till check-in 2. Okay, and we'll continue working on the check-in 3 branch, and then I'll submit my code to this repo. Okay, so today we'll be learning about SCSS. So I had already created a playlist, this one, designing playlist, which has all the what you can do with SCSS. Okay, and if you click on the designing, you will come to this page, and these are the two videos which I had done for SCSS, like programming in CSS and SCSS. So you can have a look at it, and you'll come to know how this simplifies your CSS and kind of object orient your CSS pages, CSS files. And lastly, this is where we had stopped last time. This was the ugly looking navigation what we had last time, so we'll try to beautify this. So in this video what I'm trying to do is complete the header part, okay, for our website with a nice look and feel. As of now we had this home which shows the home component, and user which shows the user component. Okay, so that's our target. Let's get started. Hi friends, so I have opened the application in Visual Studio Code. Okay, and this is what we had done so far. Okay, this folder structure. Okay, let me quickly open the new terminal. Okay, and do npm start. So this would start our application in the browser. Okay, so our application compiled successfully, but there was some error which I saw. So let's scroll up. Okay, and we see that the node type spread property has been renamed to spread element. So this is an error in our Babel config. So let me see. Okay, this plugin, now what we have given over here is transform object rest operator. So this has changed, and let me put in. So this is what needs to come over here: Babel slash plugin dash proposal dash object dash rest dash spread. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll terminate this session again using Control C, and let me clear this terminal and again do npm start. Okay, so our application loaded. Let me close the other tabs. So yeah, this is what we had done in the last tutorial. Okay, I'll give the link in the description box. So coming back to our application, it is running successfully. Okay, and if you see in the last video, what we had done is when we click on home, we'll see the home component. Our URL changes to base URL slash home, and if we click on user, then that home is replaced by user, and we can see the user component. There is one issue over here. If I go and refresh this page, you'll see that you'll get cannot get slash users. Okay, so this slash user which comes after the base URL, React is not able to understand it. So what we'll do is we'll configure our webpack in such a way so that we'll be able to get what this URL means. So let's go in our package.json, and in this webpack we can give, after this env development, okay, we can give history API dash fallback. So this would help React to understand the slash user and slash home URLs. Okay, so now let me go and refresh this page. So if it does not work, then what we need to do is, since we have made changes in package.json, we need to restart our application. So let me do Control C and terminate, and then again start npm start, and let it load again. Let me close the other tab. We are in home, and let's refresh it now. So if you see now, it's in the home page. Now let's go to the users and refresh. We are still on the user page, and the browser or the React application is understanding the browser URL. Okay, so that was one hack which we need to do in our script tags. Okay, that been taken care of. Let's now move to Sass. Okay, for Sass, what we need to do is go into our extension and search for liveSass. It's live Sass compiler, and let's go and install this. So what this would do is, we would have a file with an extension SCSS, and this live Sass compiler will convert that SCSS into CSS file. Okay, so now this is installed. One more setting what we need to do is go into this cogwheel, click on it, and go to settings. Once we are in the settings, let me close this terminal and search for liveSass, because this was the extension, and click on liveSass and search for GenerateMap. So what this does is, when we convert from SCSS to CSS, okay, a map file is also generated. So we don't want that file to be generated. So I can click on this, and this is what needs to be put in as false. So I already have this in my settings.json. If you don't have it, you can list it down in your JSON file, and your map file won't be generated. So now we have set up Sass compiler. Let's see if it is working. So in general, when you have installed this live Sass, what you need to do is restart your Visual Studio. Okay, so let me close it, and I'll open it again in my Visual Studio Code. Okay, I have my Visual Studio Code open, and I have this app.js file, okay, which is inside the src folder. So let's create one more file called app.scss, and let's create one class called body. Okay, inside this body we will give margin as 0 pixel and padding as 0 pixel. Okay, so once we have this CSS file created, you see at the bottom we have this watch Sass. So what this does is, it searches for file name with ending with SCSS, and then if it finds one, it compiles it, and you'll get an app.css file created at the same place where we have this app.css. Okay, so now if I click on this watch SASS, an app.css file would be generated. Okay, so let me do that. I clicked on this. So this is only a one-time job. If it is watching, if you see watching over here, that means your Sass compiler is already running. Okay, so now what it did was, it took this file app.scss and it generated app.css. And remember, we did one setting in the settings.json file. So if that setting was set to true, we would have generated two files, app.css and app.map files. Okay, so we don't need that map file. We'll use only this app.css. Okay, so this app.css, let me go and open that file. So this would be replica of what is there in the app.cs. So for now, but in future what would happen is, whatever we have in our app.css, if there is something which is needed for Chrome browser or for Mozilla browser, that would come over here. Okay, so it would handle any issues which might crop up in Mozilla or any other browser. So that setting, WebKit and Moz settings, would come over here. Okay, so that will look in future. So as of now, we have generated this SCSS file. So let me go into app.js file and give a class name called testing. Okay, and we would import the app.css file. So remember, now we are importing the generated app.css file and not that scss file. Okay, so that scss file is only for development environment. We would create it and then we would generate this css file, and that css file will be importing in our app.js. Okay, so we have this class name. Let's go into scss and give a class called testing, and for now we'll give border 1 pixel solid red. Okay, and now let's go into our application, refresh this, and let's see if we get a red border. So if you see now in our browser, this red border is created. That means our css file has been generated properly and it's been incorporated in our app.js file. Okay, so next let's move into our application again. Let me close this terminal and remove this testing because this was only for testing. Let me close this, save this, and even in app.js let me close this. So we'll be creating our navigation. For this navigation we'll be creating one folder. So now let's go into this component and create a folder called header. Okay, in this header we'll create a file called header.js. Okay, and let me create RAFCE and tab. So this would create a functional component, and let's give it a header component and save this file. Okay, this file will go in our app.js. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll remove this div. Okay, and we would call the header. Okay, so it's auto imported and in header. Let's go and have a look. Okay, so in the browser header component is showing up. Okay, so whatever we now create in the header would be shown at the top. Okay, and we would have few navigation pages as well. So let's create some folders and give it a name of about. Okay, then one more folder for contacts. Okay, and one more folder for users. Okay, so this header, this user we already have, so let me drag and drop inside our users. We are shown a pop-up update imports for users, and we'll click on yes. So everywhere where users was used, the component slash users would be replaced now by component slash users slash users. Okay, so it's auto updates everywhere where the user was updated. Okay, since we don't require this home, we'll keep it as it is over here. Okay, now let's go into our header. Okay, and try to create our header page. Okay, so for this header we'll be having navigations inside this, right? So let's import from the React router DOM the Nav Link. Okay, so this would help us for creating Nav Link navigations in our application. The same way we have ahref. This is what we use for navigations on our header or the menu. Okay, so first let me create a nav. Okay, and also I'll put in the class name. So we have not written any classes as of now, but I'll give the name and then we'll use these names in our scss file. So first would be the header wrapper. Moving from header wrapper, let's create another div. Okay, so this div also would have a class name, and that class name would be logo. Okay, and let me copy this and paste it, and another div what we would have is the nav wrapper. Okay, inside this nav wrapper we will have the navigations. Okay, so let's move to the logo first. Okay, inside our logo div let's create a nav link. Okay, and to we can go to slash, so whenever this link is clicked it would go to the home page or the slash base page. And class name, let's give it a class name of brand. Okay, and the visible part for this would be, so on the browser you will see hemant's website. Okay, so this takes care of the nav link on the left hand side. Okay, on the right hand side we'll be having all the links for which we have created these folders. Okay, so even in this let me create a div and its class name as navigation. Okay, so inside this we would have few nav links. Okay, so whatever folders we have created, so that we can incorporate over here. In the to section let's have slash about. Okay, and also in the nav link we have a parameter called nav link active class name. Okay, what this active class name does is, I'll show you in a bit. Okay, let's give it a name of active class. Okay, so this is also a css class, active class. Okay, and inside this we would have about. Okay, similarly we'll copy this and paste it thrice. About, contact, and we had users. Okay, so 2 would be slash about, then we'll have slash contacts or contact, and then we have slash users, if I can spell that correctly, users. Okay, so this is what we had done in the header part. Okay, but when I click on this contact it should go to the contact component, right? So we need to create the contact component. Let's create contact.js. Okay, and similarly RAFCE, what we have done in other components, just write contact components, contact component. Okay, and in the about folder also let's create about.js. Okay, and again RAFCE tab about.js, or sorry, we'll write about component. Okay, and save that, and it's auto formats. Okay, so we have this about, contact, and we have the user. Okay, so let's again go into our header. So we have about, we have contact, and we have users. Now this needs to be configured, right, this route. So let's go into our app.js. Okay, so home is configured, user is configured. Now we need to configure contact and about. Okay, so let me copy paste users 2 times, and we have contact tab, and it would be auto imported. Let's give it a name of contact. So this name would be same as this name. Okay, whatever is there in our header.js, this would be the same name. Okay, and in the about, let me copy this about from the header and paste it in our app.js file and name this as about. Okay, now let's see how our application looks like. Let me go and refresh this if there are any issues. It is not loading, so let me go into inspect mode and see if I can see any errors. So it says about is not defined. Let me see. Okay, let me call about. Okay, so about was not imported, that's why we got this error. Let me refresh this. Okay, so now see, we have not applied any SCSS. So we have this hemant's website, which would be on the left hand side, and on the right hand side we would be having this about, contact and users. So once we configure our app.scss, this would look fine. So let us close all and open app.scss, and let's open header.js as well, and close the explorer, and let's split this app.scss on the right hand side and open this header. Okay, so let's delete this one, we don't require this. And what we'll be doing is, let's copy one by one what are the class name. Okay, and I'll show you how inheritance works in our SCSS. Okay, so you see this header wrapper, and inside that we have logo, and inside that we have brand. Okay, so what we can do is we can create that logo class in the header wrapper itself. Okay, and inside this logo we have this brand. Okay, so this brand, control V. Okay, so this is one kind of an inheritance. The brand is inside logo and this logo is inside header wrapper. Okay, so this takes care of the left hand side navigation. Now on the right hand side navigation we have this nav wrapper. Okay, so which comes inside header wrapper. Okay, so let me paste this nav. Okay, nav wrapper, inside that we have this navigation. Okay, and inside navigation we have this active class. So this active class, let's see if we put it outside. Okay, so even this is compatible. Okay, whatever you can write in CSS file, the same you can write in your SCSS file. Okay, so over and above, if you want to have inheritance or object oriented programming, then we can use this SCSS, and we can do object oriented programming itself in this SCSS file, and that would be compiled into your CSS file. Okay, so one thing we can do is, let's say display equals flex. Okay, and let's see how it looks now. So when you put display equals flex, it comes in one row, and let us divide this into left hand side and right hand side. So we have two divs, right? Let me close this and this. Okay, inside this header wrapper we have logo and nav wrapper. Okay, so what would happen is, if we put justify content, okay, and space between. Okay, now let's see what happens. See, our left hand side, the brand is on the left hand side, and our navigations are on the right hand side. It is not looking perfect, but we have configured our brand name and our links. Okay, now let's quickly come back. Okay, and give some more classes. Okay, so let's start with header wrapper, since we are in here. Okay, so what we can do is position equals relative. Okay, and let's give padding. For now I am giving 2 rem. If it does not look good, then we'll pull it down to 1 rem. Okay, font size, I want to be 15 pixel, and background color. Okay, background color, let's put as 3F3D56. Okay, so it's kind of a grayish color, and then we can put border also will put black color, 1 pixel, solid hash CCC. So it's kind of grayish color. And box sizing. Okay, box sizing will put as 0, 2 pixel, and the RGBA value would be black, and let's give the opacity as 0.2. Okay, now this takes care of your box, and let's do a flex direction. Okay, so in flex direction we can put row. So in all the unsupported browser, this would get our navigation and the brand name in one single row. Okay, text alignment, let's put it as center, and align text, align items also we can put as center. Okay, and the color would be, let's give FFF. Okay, white color. Okay, so now let's have a look what has changed. Okay, so the background is done, but if you see, our content is not visible, right? Let's change the color for that. In the brand, let's give the color as hash FFF. Okay, same thing we can do in our navigation as well, and let's see how it looks now. Okay, so this part is taken care of, the left hand side. On the right hand side it's not working. Let's see why. We have this nav, or okay, so let's do one thing. We'll move the color for navigation. Okay, for navigation we need to put some more. Let's just copy this, put a comma, copy this, control V for A for focus, and then hover. Okay, let's put A. Okay, and A colon hover, and A dot focus. Sorry, not dot but colon. And now let's see. Okay, it needs a little bit of padding. Okay, so in the navigation we can put padding as 5 pixels and 10 pixels. Let's see. Okay, so now it is looking fine, but see, there are links are showing a underline. So let's remove the text decoration. So in the navigation, where is it? Let's remove the text decoration as none, and let's copy this and put in the brand as well. Okay, so the underline is removed. Okay, and also remember we have put this active class. Okay, so I'll show you the use of this active class. This active class can come inside navigation, or we can put it outside as well. Okay, so as of now I have put it outside, but it's up to you. Like, you can use it inside this navigation, and then it would be a hierarchy. Okay, but just for showing that we can use it outside as well, so what I'll do is, let me put a border. Okay, border across the active item, and what we'll do is we'll not put border, but we'll put border bottom. Okay, so whatever is selected, so that would have this class, right? So let's put 1 pixel solid red, and let's see what happens. Okay, so you cannot see that red border, right? So now if I click on about, you see this border. So this checks the URL. If it has about, then the about would be highlighted. Okay, the border would come into picture. And if I click on contact, you see, so I have used border bottom, so you can use any of your class, whatever you want to show on an active link. Okay, so this is how we distinguish which URL we are looking at. Okay, also if I go on the home page, okay, those underlines or those highlighting would go away. So yeah, this is what I had planned for this tutorial. Okay, hope you have liked it. Now our header is done. Next part would be, let's go in dev.2 and my dashboard. Okay, so now we are in the React planning. So the first two are already done. So in the first video, what I had done was set up a basic React application with Webpack and Babel. Okay, building on to that, we created routing. Okay, routing for pages or the components which were there in the application. Then we moved one step ahead. In this video, we incorporated Sass inside our third video. Okay, so with this Sass we were able to create a navigation. Okay, navigation in our application, the brand and then the links which has this. Okay, so based on what links we have clicked, we were also able to show the component. Okay, in the next videos we'll see these components, this contact component and the about component, user component being filled. Okay, so that would come into later videos. So next video what I'm planning to do is these two. Okay, so what these two would do is, we have the use fetch hook and call JSON holder API. So if you, most of you might know that JSON holder APIs gives us data in a JSON format. Okay, it's an API and we will call that JSON API using our use fetch hook. Okay, so with by using this you will also come to know about the new feature, not a new feature but a recent feature of hooks inside React application. Okay, so we'll create a common utility called use fetch using hooks, and these hooks would be able to retrieve our application, retrieve the data from this JSON placeholder API and show it on our screen. Okay, but that is for next class. If you have liked this video, do subscribe to my channel and like, share and comment. If you have any issues, I'll be happy to help. Just comment in the YouTube comment section. Thanks for watching, guys.